Hi. Before I get into the rum ball recipe using Nilla wafers, I thought I'd give you a little history lesson. Um, the Nilla wafers were originally vanilla wafers, and the recipe originated with a German American called Gustav Meyer. He sold his recipe in 1898 to Nabisco, and Nabisco started producing them. Um, I've tried to research who on earth came up with the rum ball recipe, but to no avail. I mean, everybody's got a different version, and nobody really takes credit for it. So when it came out, I don't know. When my mom got it and who she got it from, I don't know. But there are many, many versions of it. So I just thought I would bring you in here to let you know I am ready for Christmas. And I'm going to show you my mom. My mom's favorite holiday was Christmas. And she had tons of people over that she entertained. And let's see if I can zoom in on her there. There is my mom, the lady responsible not only for the rum balls, but she is also responsible for a rum cake in North Haven, Connecticut. She was known as the rum cake lady. During the holidays or for people's birthdays, she would make rum cakes. And she would take them to the people that were her friends. She has taken them to her jewelers, her doctors, her friends, relatives that were sick, just about anybody. So I just thought I would let you take a peek at the lady um, who is responsible for the rum balls that I am making today. Her name was Eleanor Walker Senecal, and she was a resident of Guilford for many, many years, Guilford, Connecticut. Then she married Charles Senecal, and they built a house in North Haven. But she didn't, she was a very basic cook. We didn't have a lot of super duper meals. I mean, we got goulash and corned beef and uh, what they used to call in the army shit on a shingle a lot. But she loved to bake and just delicious desserts. And she was not even a person that liked the sweet taste. She was one that preferred salty. But she did do all the baking for her friends and for my dad, because my dad was the one with the sweet tooth. So that's a little bit of history on Eleanor Walker Senecal. And I'm just giving you a little bit of a tour here. I got my Christmas decorations up. One tradition that we had for quite a few years here was that I would do the Thanksgiving dinner for the family. People would bring different things, but I would do the base of the dinner. And I would also have the house decorated, the outside decorated, the tree decorated, and all of the presents under the tree. I would give the grandkids trash bags to fill up with all their presents for the family to take home. And they would go searching under the Christmas tree and find everything, put it in their bags, and whisk it on home to put under their trees. Guess what? All you grandparents out there, do something like that. It saves on transporting gifts to their house. I am all about taking the shortcuts. Anyway, this room was a converted garage. The one thing I had to have was the wood stove. And it's quite a comfy room. It doesn't get used much anymore. We do Zoom Thanksgivings. And then Chandra and I transport the gifts on my granddaughter's birthday, which is December 15th. We transport them across the bay and leave them at people's houses. But I just thought you'd like to take a peek. And between those candlesticks over there, there is a secret door that leads to outside. You pull on the side of the candlestick right there on the right-hand side, and you go outside. Anyway, I will get into the rum ball recipe, which I really cannot say that I have found. And I'll do more of a trip around the house at a later date. But I did want to show you the little tiny island that I cook on and try to do a video on is right here. That is the kitchen. And it's very tiny. So I don't really have a good place to put my my tripod to do the videos. So I apologize, but I'm doing the best I can for 73 and arthritis. So I hope everybody enjoys this rum ball recipe. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Lynn from Lynn's Garden, and today I thought we'd do one of my mother's recipes. It's a Christmas tradition, and I will show you what you need. First off, you're going to need 3 tablespoons of Karo syrup. You can either use the dark or the light. She used to use the light. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of either whiskey, rum, or bourbon. They used to be called rum balls, but I prefer them with whiskey. You're going to need a cup of powdered sugar. You're going to need a cup of ground nuts. And I prefer the chopped nuts are a little bit too big, so I dice them up. You're going to need 1 box of Nilla wafers or equivalent, and those you're going to do up crushed. I crush mine in a blender. And then you're going to need 3 tablespoons of baker's chocolate. I prefer to do about half and half. I like the dark and the light, so I mix it up. All right, now that I've told you your ingredients, I will get going. Nicely crushed. Now, years ago, my mom used to crush the vanilla wafers with a rolling pin in the bag. She put a little slot in the bag. She didn't have a blender, so she would put a little slot in the bag and she would crush them with the rolling pin. I'll tell you, it took her forever. I have a veggie mix or Vitamix, and you can do it in a regular blender, but I find it is really fast. I do, however, like to crush my pecans by hand. They get nice and fine. All right, now we will measure out a cup of these. Now, this is our mixture of the crushed wafers, and I'm going to add the cup of nuts to it. Give it a quick stir. And then we will proceed on to the next step. Now I'm going to add the next dry ingredient, which is going to be my Hershey's cocoa powder. And this is a special dark. And I like mine with the special dark in it. But I also like the sweetness of the regular. So my mom's recipe called for a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of the regular powdered chocolate. But I like to put in a little bit extra. So I usually put in 2 of the lighter chocolate and 1 of the special dark. And then mix it up. Now I apologize for the small kitchen that I have and small work area I have, but not everything can get in from this little island that I work on. Anyway, the next step is to add 1 cup of your powdered sugar. And to mix that in thoroughly. The best time to do these, I've found, is about a week before Thanksgiving. I like to let them ferment in the refrigerator for at least a week to 2 weeks. There are people that freeze them and then just take them out for the holidays. They take them out to thaw and then they roll them in the confectioner sugar again before they serve them. But I give them out as Christmas cookies to friends and family. Okay, next we're going to add the whiskey or the rum or the bourbon, whatever you prefer. As I said, I guess the Irish in me likes the whiskey. And you can add whatever you are comfortable with. It calls for about 1/4 cup in my mother's recipe. I go somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2. And then you'll probably want to mix it with a fork. You will have a slightly crumbly mixture when you're done adding your whiskey or whatever alcohol you would like. And now you add 3 tablespoons of your white Karo syrup or dark Karo syrup, whichever you prefer. And this is really the gooey, tricky part. There's 1. 2. and 3. And then mix it again with your fork. Now at this point, you're going to realize that mixing it with a fork doesn't get the job done. You want it to be a consistency that you can pinch off some and roll into balls and then roll them in confectioner's sugar. My mom at this point would add water. Now come on, you're making rum balls or whiskey balls. Really? Add water? Wash your hands, come with clean hands. And pour in your whiskey. This will be your lubricant. And just start scrunching it up with your hands, your clean hands. And if you don't like doing it that way, wear some gloves. Once you can make a ball of the big stuff, you've got it just about the right consistency. And I still have some loose stuff in the bottom. So, oops, I guess we're gonna have to wet it down again. Ah, there we go. That's more like it. Make sure you've got your ingredients mixed thoroughly so that you've got a combination of nuts, your confectioner's sugar, your ground up crushed wafers, and you want it to be a ball like that, just moist enough to where you can pinch off some and roll it in confectioner's sugar. Because don't forget, these are going to sit in your refrigerator for 1 to 2 weeks to ferment. So they're going to dry out a little bit. All right, I'm going to wash my hands and we shall move on to the next step. Now for the next step, you don't need these, but they make for a pretty presentation if you're going to put them in a cookie box. They're just little tiny cupcake holders that are made for candies. Anyway, if you want those, fine. If not, just roll them up, put them on a tin, let them sit for a while to get a little drier, and then refrigerate in a container. I always line mine at the bottom with wax paper so that they don't stick. But this time I'm putting them in the little cupcake wrappers. You pinch off what you think you want for the size, and then you roll it. And remember, always clean hands. You will be washing your hands more in this recipe than any other you've ever done. Anyway, you roll them. You need a dish of confectioner's sugar because you're going to want to roll them in the confectioner's sugar when you're done. And then they come out like that. Put them in the refrigerator, refrigerate them for 1 to 2 weeks, and then they're great to put in Christmas boxes, but be sure that you label them as alcoholic. I usually have the little treat bags that are Christmas-like, and I put them in that with a tag on them so that the kids don't get them. But there you have it, my mother's Rum Balls, which she used to make them with rum. I make them with whiskey. Um, and my family seems to prefer them with whiskey. So, must be the Irish in me. And I will put the recipe up above. It's really simple. It's no bake. You can be done with a batch of them in about 30 minutes. So if you're hard pressed for Christmas cookies, this is an easy one. Bye for now from Lynn's Garden. All right, one tip I want to pass along. Actually, two tips. Number one, I've got my first layer done. I'm going to put another sheet of wax paper over these before I put the other ones in. And when you are rolling, let me do my wax paper first. But when you are rolling, you will find that it is a lot better to pinch off the amount you need with your, well, whatever your least favorite hand is. Mine is my left. I pinch off the amount I need with my left hand, kind of squeeze it, and remember, always clean hands. Then you roll it, and with my right hand, I roll it in the confectioner's sugar. And if you always do that, your mixture won't dry out as much. So, there you have it. You pinch with your left, and you roll with your right. And the second tip I have, put these in a non-conspicuous container in your refrigerator. Because if you have a husband or a son that lives with you, you'll have about half the supply you need to send out for Christmas cookies. And I'm serious. There you have it. Whiskey or rum balls from Lynn's Garden.